I'm Dustin, Prince of a Aphotic Realm, and this is Bo, my indie author friend.
Fabulous powers will be revealed to you the day we hold aloft our mics and say,
I have the geekdom!
Geek-Men and the masters of the ThunderNerds. ThunderNerds! Ho!
Alright, welcome to an all-new episode of Geek-Men and the Masters of the ThunderNerds. I'm Dustin.
I am Bo.
And this is the podcast that talks about all the things you love.
Without all the hate.
That's right. And today we have a very special guest. She's a horror writer and a geek and a very good friend of this podcast and a very good writer. She's been featured in lots of publications. She's talked at panels. You can see her work everywhere. And so we're going to dive right in here. And Bo, take it away.
Yes, this is the one and the only Miss Silvia Brown. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me, guys. This is so awesome. I'm so excited.
This last year for you is just, I've got to say, you've been left and right. You've just been up and up and up and up and up with projects. It seems to be.
It's been hectic, really. Yeah.
Just what was it? Just released not too long ago the Cthulhu anthology. Cthulhu Deep Down Under. What's it? Volume 2?
Yes, Cthulhu Deep Down Under. I know that's a mouthful to pronounce that word. Yes, so that came out last year, around. What was it? June, for memory? Between June, August, September. Yeah, something like that. Around that middle of the year mark. Yeah, that was really cool. I had a story in there called Melbourne Calling.
Yeah, and that was very successful. And
yes, that was awesome.
Really like that story, by the way. It was really, really good. Recently you've been globe-trekking a lot lately too, because of all this. I mean, you just recently came back from London.
Yeah, that's right. I had a bit of an unexpected trip to London, and I was really, really lucky to get to know some horror writers from the UK, which took upon themselves to take me around town and, feed me Polish food and pub crawling and all those wonderful things that you do. So that was fun.
Yeah, you did. Oh, you should go to our social media. We'll have all the links below, because you got a lot of fun photos and just documented everything so well. It was looks like a lot of fun. It
was, yeah.
So what was it like? You're currently living in Australia, and so coming to London and just kind of coming together with that group and mingling with all these other horror writers and getting to know that community. What was that like?
Well, it wasn't expected, for one, because the reason I ended up in London was really out of my hands. It's just a dear friend of mine passed away a bit suddenly, and I just needed to get out of here for a bit. So I went to see my friend in London, and I just happened to remember the HWA has a UK group in the city. So I reached out to the Facebook group asking for suggestions of places that I could go around and, just have a bit of a horror vibe to them and stuff. And suddenly a very amazing man called Phil Snowman went and organized a whole dinner and drinks because I was coming. And this man doesn't even know me. He is amazing. Definitely look him up. Lots of horror stories there too. And I was just hanging out with this bunch of amazing writers and having a blast. Absolute blast. Seriously.
And it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you had to get to the authentic, because it really did, like, looking at the pictures and everything, it felt like you got the authentic London
Yeah, but
experience.
that's what the horror artist community has been about for me since I started digging into it. Like every moment and everything that I have been part of, it's just been like absolutely real, and that's what I love about it, and that's why I love being so involved in it. You know, whether it is Australia, the UK, or whatever else I go next. I'm sure if I go to America, I wouldn't be put away either. I just, it's a place that you click in, you know, and you have all these people and they have all these things in common with you. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know, I have no words to describe it. I just love it. It's my tribe, you know?
Yeah. Like a family almost.
Yes,
extended
yes.
family.
Yes, it's extended family of crazy relatives you never knew you had, but you're so proud of having.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely that way. Because when you find out, like, in that community, there's... I mean, because you've been published in the Erotic Realm, and, you know, that's... that you know, that horror community over here and as well.
Yes.
You find out everybody is just so connected and has, like, you know... You end up geeking out so fast with everybody about things. And not just horror.
Absolutely. And I've been involved with the American horror community, as you know, through Twitter quite a bit. That's where I got to know you guys, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love to just be like, you know, all over it and see who's doing what and what's doing, you know, and what's happening everywhere. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I just can't help myself, really, to be honest.
Now, how long have you been living in Australia?
Oh, God. It's actually going to be 10 years in November.
Now, see, I wanted to point that out because, like, I'm sure people listening can pick up, like, you know, because you can pick up the Spanish in your accent as well. So, and I wanted to go in because you grew up in Spain, and I wanted you to talk about how, you know, you grew up there, and you know, your experience with your grandmother and your childhood and all that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so I grew up in Spain. Well, I grew up and like did my whole life in Spain until my early 20s, and then I got out, started traveling, never looked back, never actually returned, except for visits, obviously. When I was young, I was raised by my grandma mostly because mom and dad were really busy working like 20 jobs a day. And they basically would drop me off at her place early in the morning. Early, we're talking like 2, 3, 4 a.m. and pick me up at night when they finish all the work. So just basically, yeah, I was just sleeping in the house and doing life with grandma the rest of the day. And my grandma was an amazing woman. She never actually learned to read or write, but she told the best horror stories, like, honestly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, she was super creepy, but in a very sort of folklore, magic realism sort of way, like, you know, the old wives' tales stuff. Yeah, that's good. I can give you a little taste if you like. It's something she used to tell me. And her, so my grandma had my mom and 2 more kids, right? So my mother and his siblings were apparently quite naughty. So when I was little and I was naughty, my grandma used to tell me that, or what I used to tell them, which is that if I didn't behave, she will come to me when I was sleeping and grab my feet with her cold hands, because her hands were really, really cold all the time. You know, of course, just the thought of that made me, like, you know, put my feet up in the covers, like not wanting to stretch my feet ever again. But he said to me, well, what happens if I'm still naughty? You know, you're still, you know, and once you're not here, what's going to happen? You know, because I was always that, and what if, was the what if girl when I was little. I wouldn't shut up. I was a chatterbox, which, you know, hasn't changed. But I was always with and what if, you know, and she was always having an answer for everything, which was awesome. She could keep up with me. So I say one day, what if when you're gone, you know, what's going to happen? I was like, well, I told your mother once, it's like when I'm gone, the very night I'm gone, I'm going to come back and make sure all of you are behaving. And I'm going to go through every single bed of all my children. And I'm going to grab your feet with my cold dead hands. And I was like, oh, I love you. Just love that. Like, it's just, yeah. Like, who tells that to what was I? 6, 7, 8-year-old? And I was absolutely fascinated. I wasn't even scared. Like, horror has always been something that fascinated me. You know, that darkest side of yourself that you just pull into your fiction.
Yeah.
It's never been
Yeah.
a place of like hiding or anything like that. If anything, the other way around. It's more of a cathartic place for me.
That's awesome. And to anybody, if you go to her website, there's a picture of her. One of the classiest photos, by the way.
Oh, she looks gorgeous there, doesn't she? She was a beauty.
That is a classy photo.
Mm.
So, growing up, this is another thing I wanted to bring up. Growing up, you were. It's funny to hear how cartoons were, pretty embedded in the childhood. Even that far away from America. Like we always thought of just like Saturday morning cartoons and stuff just being here in America, but like it's funny. Like you told me a couple of stories, and I would love to hear you retell them for the viewers.
Oh, look, absolutely.
Or
You have to consider as well that back home when I grew up in Barcelona, Spain, and I grew up in the early to mid 80s, right? So basically, what that means is like not even 10 years before that, we were in a dictatorship with a very, very nasty guy at the front of it. So within 10 years, we suddenly had open borders. We suddenly had TV and access to everything that we haven't had for the last 50 years. So it felt like the country was trying to catch up on everything really quickly. And the amount of things that became available were like crazy and random, to say a word. So for instance, I was not allowed to watch a lot of TV when I was little because I was the only child. So they were trying to, keep me stay away from stuff that might be violent or anything like that. So what Mom always gave me was just the one channel, which was the Catalan channel at the time. Catalan is the language in my region. And the Catalan channel had all the cartoons in Catalan, obviously, which means they were dubbed, no subtitles. And it started with He-Man. I always remember that. And from He-Man, I went into Dragon Ball Z.
See, that's one of the things Dragon Ball got everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But you have to listen to the soundtracks. I sent the links to Bo the other day. You have to listen to the soundtrack.
Yes.
Like the beginning, the intro song in Catalan is the best.
We're going to put the links below because I get it. They're so different, but they're so awesome.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I love them. But what was the? I wanted to verify this. You said Cringer. What was his name?
Who's Cringer? Sorry, everything is just like probably changes.
He-Man's cat, his battle cat. What was his?
Oh.
But He-Man was another one that got pretty popular worldwide too.
Yeah.
And still big with bootlegs. That's like a big bootleg culture.
Yeah.
For figures.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the same name.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
For some reason, I was remembering it was something like Little Chicken or something.
Yeah, but probably. Oh, it was. I remember now. So it was two names. One when it was transformed in the super cat, and one when it was transformed in the normal thing, like in the usual. Yeah.
Yeah, when he was just his little pet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I remember him and calling him like gallinita. Gallinita means little hen, and that's what we use. We said someone is a coward.
Yeah.
In Spanish, right? So I remember being referred to it like that, but in the show, because that's it's just a funny thing. Like it's a very slangy way to refer to something. But yeah, I think the English names were used. Just the pronunciation will have been absolutely dreadful. It probably will have something like Cringer, a battle cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So much we can do.
Closest I can do. That's pretty good though.
Do you ever want to go back or are you still into like He-Man and or Dragon Ball? Like, do you ever want to go back?
That was done in the 80s. I have a DVD of that. Yes, I know. It's awesome. I had to bring it with me. I love that movie. The one from, what was it, 1987 or something? Yeah, that movie is pretty good. I mean, it's it's dated. It's dated to hell.
You're on the right show.
Yeah.
The right IMDb is awful, but I don't know. It's a piece of my childhood right there. I remember watching that movie when it came out, and just like absolutely loving it in the early 90s. That was really, really fun. My goodness me. Yeah. And I heard that it's a new movie coming up now. They're doing like a remake. Is that right, Bo?
Yeah, there's still in the works. There's a lot of question marks going on.
Yeah, lots of question marks. You never know. They've been saying there's going to be a movie for years, but I don't know.
They say production, and we don't know. Goyer's attached. We don't know. Production art's out, but we don't know. It's
like there's filming locations, but we don't know.
Potential actors, we don't know. I mean, it would be neat. I'd still would like to know. I really would be interested in another crack at it, and just to see what they do with it.
Oh my God, yes! Just do it properly. Because one thing I noticed, like now that we have been like overwhelmed by all this geeky wave of like all the superhero movies and all the things they're doing now, like everything is coming back with a vengeance. Yeah. What my only request is, if you have to do something, you either do it right or don't touch it.
Right.
Because this is my child talking about, you know what I mean? And I'm really fussy with how things are done and how you know what I mean, loyal they are to the original story and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like, speaking of like the '87 movie, like I remember as a kid watching it and being disappointed that they didn't have Battle Cat, and Battle Cat was like one of my favorites, and no one really looks the same, and why does He-Man have a gun, and what's going on? Like, what is all this? And
he's not going to turn into Prince Adam.
Where's Prince Adam? Yeah, like, what is all this? Like, it just I was so confused. But then later on, I grew more appreciation for it, and actually, one of my favorite things is I think Gwildor had some of the best lines in that whole thing. Like, and the whole interaction. Like, specifically, my favorite scene in that whole movie is when they're eating. And he's like is snagging the chicken from that chicken place, and he's just like with the grappling hook, and and Tila's like, "How did they get the food on these little white sticks? Those aren't sticks; those are rib bones." And they're just like, "Oh, what a barbaric world!" And he's just sitting there. Gwildor's just looking, and he's just like, "It tasted good." And then the cow busts in, and he's just like, "Oh, maybe I can communicate with it. Moo? Moo? Moo." Just like that whole scene, like, it's just like, that won me over. All right, Gwildor, you are pretty cool. But, I mean, take it or leave it. It's just, I have an appreciation for him now. But I do miss Battle Cat, and I miss some of those scenes, So, the 2003, or 2000X, whatever series that I thought on Cartoon Network, that cartoon did a really great job. Some of the flips were, over the top and whatnot, but that's, that didn't bother me. I remember loving that. So I'm just hoping that they can, find some sort of middle ground between the '87 movie and, maybe the Filmation or even some of the original comics and stuff.
But I find when they do movies out of a TV show, like even if it's a cartoon TV show, even like within the movies, like out of video games, even like Mortal Kombat and stuff like that, it's always has been like an extension of what will it happen if, and in this case, it's what will it happen if He-Man went into the real world, because that was the easy way to go. And I mean, in the '80s, having I'm sure like it will have in a number of ways to have a cat running around. But it just felt right to me when I watched it. And to be honest, I haven't like noticed as much the essence of Battle Cat as when you mentioned it just then. But at the same time, it being such a like such a way to put the storyline, I didn't mind it. I don't know. It felt right because it's like, what if I have to go to London suddenly? Well, my dog is not coming. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So,
No, it logistically it made a lot of sense because budget wise, considering that
that's for one.
There's a couple of great documentaries that talked about the struggles that movie had to overcome because it almost didn't even happen. But without actually going to Earth and reusing and scrapping together a lot of the stuff it did, it wouldn't have made it. So I'm happy that we have a movie to begin with.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm definitely not not dissing that. So I do enjoy the movie for what it is. So I'm just hoping that, the new movie can break some new ground. There's tons of technology that can, if they can make Avatar and make, believable looking-ish creatures in Avatar, I'm pretty sure they can make a Battle Cat. You know what I mean?
It's inevitable anyway.
Absolutely.
They're going to make a He-Man movie. They're going to make
Yeah.
If they do it now, they have to do it proper, and they have to do it all. You know what I mean? Like as much as the story needs. I think it's always about what this story needs, rather than let's fit it all in and see what happens. It's really hard to do that and have a good story out of it. I think the one example that comes to mind that has done that, and it's pretty decent result, is Infinity War, for instance. But to align so many things all together that are compelling in such a TV show, it's going to be difficult. I don't envy the task, to be honest.
Yeah. Yep, that's for sure. It's a tall order. They
It's just
have a
about
lot
not
of
losing
stuff.
focus, really. Because He-Man is just one of those simple things. It's just good versus evil.
Yeah.
It's so clear cut. It's just child's imagination viewed through a spectrum of good and evil. He-Man, Skeletor, they fight. You want He-Man to win. And that's it. That's all it is at the end of the day. Like, can you deliver a compelling story using those characters in that world and those elements?
Oh, exactly. And I'd like to see a bit more of a gray line if they do a remake, because it's always been like, because it was I'm not sure what the DC comics were like, because I never actually had the luck to read them, but I would like to have a bit more of a gray part of, like, human is the good and skeleton is the bad, but how a skeleton became a skeleton, and what does human has this wonderful choice of being even better than he is? Like, has he ever had a struggle in his life? You know what I mean? That's the stuff that I would like to see, something new.
Because they explored that pretty good in that 20X, right?
Yeah, they told one of this. There's been several different origins of Skeletor, but
Really? I haven't watched those.
Yeah,
Nice.
in 2000X they did. He's basically Keldor, King Randor's brother, and he, was wanting to take over power basically, and through some, this acid stuff at Randor. Randor deflected it. It went back onto Skeletor's face, and then he used magic with the help of Evelyn and whatnot to sort of preserve himself from dying, and so then he was left with this, like, skeleton face. In other origins, he's like this demon from Infinita, and whatnot. So, and then I think I read I don't know if it was a synopsis for a movie, for the movie, or if it was like a mini series. I'm not sure where I read this, but there was one sort of I think it might have been like a synopsis for a movie that hasn't happened yet or hasn't been made, but basically Skeletor was Prince Adam's brother. So they're trying to make it a little more compelling, like a duel between brothers rather than a duel between uncle and nephew. So there's been multiple tellings of his origin, but basically, Prince Adam struggles. He struggles with, pretty much everyone he knows that's close to him hating him and thinking he's just some lazy coward that runs and hides when, he's really the dude that saves the day. And only having like 2 people or, 3 people that know his true identity in secret and having to keep that. He struggles with that a lot when you read the material anyway. So
They had a good discussion about this on Podcasters.
Yeah.
The fan contest. They were trying to come up with interesting ways of redoing Skeletor's backstory and trying to give him one, flesh it out. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see you're right. I would like to see him get a little more depth. Like, it is a movie. You do expect something like that. If you're gonna expand the story, get something a little more.
Yep. Well, I know, and I think one of the coolest features that sort of was more of the toys, and this is running a little long, but basically you had to unite the two halves of the Power Sword to open Castle Grayskull, and then with the united Sword of Power, this is Skeletor when he was a demon of Infinita or just one of his race. I think it was mentioned. He was going to open a portal to bring more of his race through this portal into Eternia. So that was his goal, was to unlock the power, unite the halves of the Power Sword, open the power of Grayskull, or open Castle Grayskull, and bring more of his people here. So that was sort of his motivations. That, and he really wanted to get with Tila, apparently.
That's an interesting thing that maybe because when I was a kid, I never really thought about it. Everybody was just wanting the power of Grayskull, and it was never clear about what anybody wanted to do with it.
Yeah,
because bad guys just want power. That would be probably the most interesting thing to do with the movie, is give motivation to
why he wants it.
Like, why does Skeletor exactly want it? And maybe it's not for 100% necessarily evil things.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, or maybe it is, because then he could have, his... Or maybe, if they did that, it's to get his family, his family or something, or, they could make him, if they didn't go he's related to, Randor or whatever, he's from this other world, and he has to open a portal to bring his, his other people of his kind here, and then, but ultimately rule the planet. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so it's not necessarily for good, but it's not necessarily, he wants to be reunited with his people too. But,
something to challenge He-Man's morals.
Yeah. But, there's lots of things, lots of ways it could go, but it's going to be interesting. All I know is that this little bit of talk has lit up the community. There's been, I'm members of several different He-Man Masters of the Universe groups, and all they've done is post pictures of casting, like fan casting and stuff. Like, it's never gone away, but it is exploded with like arguments of why this person couldn't do this, or this person's better in this role than that role. It's just hilarious and funny to watch. It's been a lot of fun to just see that carry out, but
this is all pretty pointless.
It's like until this time happens,
It's just
it'll be fun.
But we're having fun talking about it then.
Yeah, it's definitely fun.
Positive energy.
Yeah, for sure. So you got it. You were He-Man, and then you were into Dragon Ball Z.
Well, Dragon Ball, the first one first. Dragon Ball Z was more in my teenage years. The first Dragon Ball, which was when, Goku discovers who he is and he lives with the Turtle Man. All of this, just so you know, all the names of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are translated. Not the normal names, not Goku and all of that, but some of them are not quite the English names that you know. So if I say something that doesn't sound right, that's the reason. So the Turtle guy, which is the mentor, right? So
yeah,
that's
Master Roshi.
There we go. Yes. We the name in the Catalan one was Fulla Tortuga, which means basically fairy turtle. Something like that. I know. And he had his master name, but they never used that. They always use the nice, like the other. But yeah, that's what it started. And I remember they were running the show, like there was all those seasons, right, of that first show. And I remember like every few years they would rerun it. And I was like, we start again. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, eventually it got a bit tiring. And that's why they eventually put the Dragon Ball Z on as well. But it wasn't until much later, like late 90s, that they actually put those two TV shows in Spanish, in the main Spanish channels. For a long time, it was just available in the Catalan channels, which means it was just available to my region, which is like, one of the 54 regions in Spain. So it wasn't available throughout, well, at least not that I know of, because I didn't live anywhere else. Maybe they did. Who knows? But that was, I just love this storyline and the whole looking for the Dragon Balls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can find the episodes in Catalan around YouTube and stuff. I remember finding them a few years ago when I had a bit of a craving and just went looking for stuff that I couldn't find online on eBay and stuff because, Australia. So I thought maybe something on YouTube and I might have found the trailers or something. That was fun. I remember when I was a kid and watching this build up, like I was totally attached to the TV. It was really like, oh my God, it was so much fun.
Do you watch Super?
Have you watched
Silvia?
Super?
No, I was gonna say after Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and like the 90s hit and suddenly I was my head inside books 24/7. I basically I'm not a TV person since the 90s.
Yeah,
I've totally dislike watching anything else because the whole programming just changed and you get interested in other things and I got my head in lots of books. I was my later teenage years, like 14 to 17 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was I had a phase where I was really introverted. Don't ask me why. And I just got my nose on books all day.
Yeah,
And it was just reading everything that fell on my hands. Lots of literature mostly, but everything. And I just didn't get into like not even comics. That was later in my 20s too.
Yeah, I read a lot as a kid too, but I mean the books that I read my way. I mean I read tons of stuff like with my mom and I read books together. She would do voices and all that other stuff.
Nice.
So my dad watched a lot of inappropriate TV for a young lad, according, my mom didn't let me watch. So, so we would go and read books, which was fine by me. But, and then by myself, I would read Star Wars books. So I've read tons and tons of Star Wars books. But yeah, that definitely, I have a deep, deep love of reading. So I've read tons and tons of books and whatnot. So I totally get having your nose in a book all the time.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing that was really big for me as well was movies, like from really early on. So I remember I think I mentioned this at Jess's podcast. I remember how you call the Tooth Fairy? Is it called in English? I remember my Tooth Fairy used to bring me VHS videos. Like,
oh, yeah?
Yes, I swear.
Nice.
Seriously, and we don't call it that. We call him. It's a him, and it's a mice. The Tooth Fairy in Spain is called the Mr. Mice Perez. Perez is his last name, and he brings you something, not just a coin under the thing. Well, it varies on the family, but my family was just me and my mom because my parents got divorced when I was really young. He used to bring me a VHS. So I had all of Back to the Future, I had all of Indiana Jones, I had all of Star Wars. So movies were huge for me. Like that's what I grew up with.
Man, we got gypped. We got a fairy that brings you a coin. You got the 3 blind mice that bring you VHS. Man.
Yeah, it's just one mice and he's not blind.
I don't know what to say because I'm angry, but I know it was earmuffs for children, but I know it was your parents, so I can't be mad at my parents.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, that was my mom. It was all on her, and she was raising me on her own, so probably that helps.
Yeah.
That was on. I can't be mad. My mom got me like awesome stuff outside of that, so it doesn't matter. Like I got RoboCop for my birthday and stuff like that. So
oh my God, RoboCop, that was so good.
Yeah. And so if I got that as a kid, come on, she let me watch. She let me have RoboCop as a kid.
Yeah, for sure.
That makes up for it. I can't be mad.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I can't complain either because, like, I don't know. We never had money, but I tell you what, every time we went to the store, I managed to walk out of there with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or a G.I. Joe or something that I wanted, so, like,
To all our moms, we love you.
Yes.
Yes, you love moms.
Thank you
For sure.
making us uber nerds. So what do you got? So what are you working on now that you can talk about? What's coming up for you?
Recently working on a commission, which I cannot talk about very much. Is a sci-fi horror. That's as much as I can say. I sent it to the editors, so waiting for that to come back and with news. But I can't say anything else for that. Besides that, currently since last December last year, I've been coordinating the Shadows Awards, which is an Australian horror literary award that's run by the Australian Horror Writers Association, which I'm involved with. I have for a number of years. And I'm having a lot of fun. I'm reading through besides coordinating the awards, I'm the convener for short stories and poetry. And I have currently 150 short stories submitted after close of submissions. So I'm swimming through that all, which is wonderful.
Wow.
I love my job.
Oh, man.
And then I need to get through the poetry as well. Not as many submissions. Short stories is possibly our biggest category in those awards, I feel. But those awards are open and all publications from last year. So published stories of different lengths and types. We have also graphic novels and poetry in there, as I said. And it's all by Australia, New Zealand, or Oceania authors. So anybody that goes within that, that timeline and is that author from that region and submits, gets in. And we're just reading through it all. We should have a short list by May with a bit of luck. And I got the awards already, which are those really cool little demons.
Oh, yeah.
Bones. They're bloody awesome. So I got the awards already in my house. I just have to get once I get all the names and everything, just put the things underneath. And this year is going to be the second year that we have a live ceremony in a convention. Last year, a convention is called Continuum, which is Melbourne's speculative fiction convention. It's a fan convention rather than a writers' convention. And it's really cool. Last year, we had the first live ceremony, which was emceed and coordinated by the person that was the Shadows coordinator last year, Joseph Ashley Smith, which is like amazing horror author as well. Look him up. And I was helping him out. I was the Twitter live person, social media nut at the time. And this year I thought, you know what, I'm taking this on. And I've been having an absolute blast. And everybody's been super helpful. All the judges step up to the task. And it's been just smooth sailing since December.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Absolutely. Having a really good time with it.
That's awesome. And that's coming up, June? So
it's the second weekend of June in Melbourne.
Nice. Which
is in here, it's a public holiday, so it's like a long weekend. So that's Continuum. And then the weekend before, in June as well, I know, I'm putting myself in trouble. It's Hazicon or Jazicon. I always mispronounce it, so go with whichever one you like. Jazicon is, or Hazicon. I don't know, either way. It's a writers' convention in New Zealand. It's an international convention of speculative fiction, so fantasy, sci-fi, horror, everything goes in there.
Wow. And
it's really cool because they actually invited me to be part of 2 panels, which are going to be my first panels ever, and I'm super excited.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yes. I'm like, yes, please. The first one is a horror debate. And the second one, I'm just going to check. I got the program here. So the horror debate is adjudicated by Chuck Dick. And then the short story panel, which I'm going to be part of as well, I believe is moderated by Dan Robarts, which is an amazing author from New Zealand. And besides those 2, I really wanted to do something with talk about what I do within the writers community, which for those of who don't know, I've been the membership officer for the Australian Horror Writers Association for quite a while now, before I stepped into the coordination of the awards. And during those years that I've been doing that, I've been finding a really a sense of who I am within the community and what needs to be done and what means to network and to reach out to other writers and, things I do because I just love to be around writers all day, 24/7. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing something that's called in the convention, that's called a cafe clash, which is a German word that I'm probably mispronouncing as well, which is basically a get-together of 1 to 5 people with one person that talks about a subject, and you can hang out with them over coffee.
Oh,
And yeah, it's really cool. And the subject I'm talking about is finding your tribe.
nice.
So, yeah. So reaching out to your community and finding your little people all around, like whether it's in your region or when you go overseas, or how to approach people in conventions. A bit of etiquette, a bit of common sense, and a lot of like.
But you've been having a lot of practice with anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a bit I'm a bit bold with that sort of thing because I'm a fangirl, and if I find someone, I'm always going to be super duper polite because you have to. But at the same time, I cannot help myself. I see someone that writes something that's amazing, I'm going to message them and say, "This story blew my mind."
Nice.
And many people that know me know that if I read something and it's absolutely loved it, I'm going to tell you. Like it's just yeah. Because that's what it's about. We have to support each other. Otherwise, who's going to do it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
No, that's what writers live on.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad reviews and royalties.
Yeah, and feedback is always good to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Totally. So that's really exciting. And that weekend in New Zealand, it happens to be my birthday as well. So that's a nice birthday present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, just action-packed. You're definitely busy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. After June, after those 2 are done, and I take 2 weeks holidays, because the thing with convention, especially with 2 getting together so quickly, is that you get to talk to a lot of people about a lot of things. But after it, and even for someone like me that's fairly extroverted, I need a week without talking to anyone. I need to go into a cave and just,
Yeah. I would
just
imagine.
write. Just write for a week,
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, but come July, and this is someone that has been confirmed to me recently. Just don't have a lot of details just yet. But I have an internship with an Australian publisher, helping up with the translating of some books into Spanish. It's a series of middle grade fantasy books, something of a Harry Potter goes to Mexico sort of thing. Yeah,
Huh.
I'll give you more details when I can. Yeah,
Interesting.
but that's something that I've been talking about for a while now, and it's a series of books as well. I believe it's 5 books at the time, and yeah, I'm gonna be working on that. It's an internship that it's gonna be part of my university work, because I'm finishing my associate degree this year in writing and editing. So that's the last subject I got left. So it requires an internship, and I'll go to class and learn how to do an anthology. So
Nice.
yeah, that could be something to look forward to next year,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah,
It's going to be a big year for you.
again, yeah. It's been a big couple of years lately, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's good. I mean, you're clearly going up, and I'm very excited for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Seeing all this stuff happen for you.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. Yeah, I'm very excited.
So I'm glad you came on the show. We're both happy that you came on the show. Take a minute to talk with us.
Yeah, we're big fans, so.
Oh, thank you guys.
Yep. So we'll have links to all your social media, so everybody can keep up with you and your website and all these events. Everything's listed on the website. Everything we talked about, and it just keep up because she keeps you posted, keeps you up to date on everything she's doing. So just keep an eye out there.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm on Facebook as well, and I'm just I don't know, reach out, send me a message, say hello.
Yeah.
Go out and get some of these works she's into. The Photogram, the Tutorial Down Under Volume 2. All that stuff's listed on her website as well.
Yep. And then be sure to leave a review and tell her how you liked it.
Because I love reviews. I'm actually meaning to get around everyone and start getting reviews on the short story I wrote last year. Because I got one really good review from Lee Murray, which is one of the organizers of HazelCon, but I actually haven't been really good at getting this story around and getting people's reviewing online and stuff. So I'm gonna have to be working on that. That's my next thing.
Yeah. Reviews are the lifeblood of indie folk. So
Yeah.
get out and leave a review, and if you like our show, leave a review for our podcast. And
that's right.
We also have a Patreon you can join, and Discord. Join us. We are on there chatting about geek stuff. So if you're out there listening, join us up there, and we'll have all the links in the show notes below. And until next time, I've been Dustin.
I've been Bo.
Have a good one.
Later, guys. Thanks, Sylvia.
Thank you. See you later, guys.
That was fun. Thanks for coming on. Boop.